ado, I'm going to dive in to talk about today's topic, which is how to be more consistent with weight loss. Now, this is one of the questions that I get asked the most. It's one of the issues that people tend to raise the most. So when someone signs up to my mailing list, they are invited to answer 3 questions. And there's a drop-down list of things to choose from. And the most common choice is, I know what to do, I'm just not doing it. Yeah, and if it was that easy to just do it, we'd be doing it, wouldn't we? But life gets in the way. There are so many problems that get in the way of our efforts to lose weight. So I'm going to tackle some of those right now. But before I do, I think it's important to explain the context with which we are working when we're trying to lose weight. And that is the context that I think often gets overlooked. And then we start beating ourselves up because we think there must be something wrong with us because we're finding it hard and everybody else seems to be finding it really easy. And why can't we just stick to it? So the reason you can't just stick to it is because as soon as you decide to lose weight, you are going into conflict with your biology. Your biology is all about survival. Okay, so your body is a finely tuned machine that is trying to keep you alive, okay? And it needs food to keep you alive. It needs nutrition to keep you alive. And as soon as you decide you want to lose weight, you are putting yourself into an artificial situation because we're not actually designed to lose weight voluntarily. We're only designed to lose weight when food is not available. But the problem is the world we find ourselves living in, food is available to us far greater quantities than ever before, tastier than ever before, more tempting than ever before. And there you are trying to reduce the amount of food that you're taking in. And if you are used to eating more than you need, which you will have been if you have become overweight, trying to then go into a position where you're eating less than what you need, your body is not going to like it. Your brain is not going to like it. And you have developed some strong habits that have built up over many years that are going to be really hard to break. So losing weight is not just about going on a diet, it's about actually changing our whole attitude and our whole behaviour around food. And that is not going to be easy to do because our survival instincts are very, very strong. So with that in mind, how to be more consistent means changing the way that you approach the whole thing, okay? So I've got a little list of tips that I'm going to run through now. So I've written them down in front of me so I don't forget because I don't want to miss any of them out because I think they're all really, really good ones. So the first one is whatever you decide to do, whatever method you decide to follow to lose weight, you've got to make sure that it's actually feasible within the context of your life. So, and also your preferences and your personality. So for example, if you love cooking, great, you're going to love, following lots of recipes. If you hate cooking, you are not going to stick to that. You won't last maybe more than a few days. I know I won't. I can't follow plans to save my life. I have to have the freedom to be able to choose what I want to do according to how I feel and what the options are, what's going on in any given day. So choose something that you're going to actually know that you're going to be able to stick with. Look at your past experience. Try and think about what were the things that really worked for you before in the past that you were able to stick to. Not the ones that you kind of thought, well, I managed it for a few weeks and then I gave up. Those are not, that means that didn't work, okay? Think about what really has worked in the past and what you like to do, because if you're going to choose something that you don't like to do, you will not stick at it. So make sure that you are spending some time to review what actually you need, okay? And then follow that. Try not to change everything all at once, because if you try and change everything all at once, all you literally are doing is sticking a sticking plaster over the problem and eating and drinking in a way that is alien to you. It's not going to feel comfortable to you and it's going to add more stress to your life. And if you're already busy and stressed, and one of the reasons why you don't stick to something is because you get very busy and stressed, don't choose something that's going to make you more busy and stressed. Think about where you can start making small changes. A really, really good place to start is looking at your portion sizes. Are they what they need to be? Or are they too big? If they are too big, then what can you do to cut them down? And you might be surprised at actually what difference it can make to simply cut your portion sizes down. Another really, really good one is to just make sure that you're not eating when you're not hungry. If you're eating when you're not hungry, you really don't need the food, okay? You've got enough reserves to keep you going. If you are hungry, if you are actually truly physically hungry, that is a sign that you need to eat, because actually hunger is there as a means to remind us that we need to eat, okay? So we need to go out and seek food, which is why when we're trying to lose weight, when we get hungry, it's really hard because our bodies are saying, please feed me. And we're saying, no, I'm trying to lose weight. And our bodies don't want us to do that. You know, they don't want us to let go of the energy that we've stored. They want us to save it for when there's a famine. So we're having to work against this all the time. So we've got to try and do it in a way that feels easier to us as humans in terms of how we're designed, rather than trying to constantly fight against how we're designed, because that is just a recipe for disaster. Because when we lose weight in that way, it tends to go straight back on again as soon as we stop doing the thing that we were doing. Whereas if we actually think of it as important in terms of working with where we're at, and then start making small changes that we can easily implement, that becomes much more sustainable over time. Because let's face it, if you want to lose weight, it's not just about losing the weight and then you get to your goal and that's it, you can go back and do what you did before. You can't. This is about changing how you eat for life, you know, changing your behavior, changing your whole attitude to food, how you think about food, how you feel about food, and what you actually need as opposed to what you want. And that takes time, that takes years to actually embed, which is why it's not a process that should be rushed. So it's important that we build in our favourite foods from the beginning. Don't try and cut everything out. If you try and cut everything out, you're going to want it all the more. Whereas if you think about perhaps 80-20 principles, where 80% of your diet is coming from foods and drinks that are relatively healthy, you don't need to be perfect, but just think about, is this better than what you were doing before? And then you've got 20% of your energy intake that you can use in whatever way you choose, whatever you fancy. Have the ice cream, have the chocolate, have the biscuits, have the cakes, have all of those things, but just make sure that they don't exceed 20% of your overall energy intake, and that the rest of it is eating in a way that supports your health. And if you can do that, honestly, it makes such a difference. And how can you make sure that you're doing that? Know your numbers. You know, in any other area of our lives, we'd be knowing our numbers, we'd be measuring things. We look at our bank accounts, don't we, to make sure that we've got enough money to spend on the things that we need to spend. But when it comes to losing weight, there is this kind of concern that, you know, if we count calories, or if we weigh ourselves, it's going to make us obsessed and it's going to, you know, upset us. But actually, we need to know this stuff, because if we don't know this stuff, how can we make the best decisions? So if you know that you have, you know, a certain amount of energy to consume before putting on weight, you need to know where the point is that you can stop eating, so that you can stay within the boundaries that you set for yourself. That doesn't mean to say you need to be obsessed and thinking about food all the time. It's just about understanding where the sensible boundaries are, so that you can stay within them and not end up overdoing it, because it only takes 120 calories a day more than we need to put on a stone in a year. And if you don't know how much energy you're consuming, how do you know whether you're exceeding it or not? And if you're not weighing yourself, how do you know if what you're doing is working or not? Obviously, there are other ways to know our numbers as well. So thinking about, you know, how many steps you might be taking, because obviously it's important that we keep moving. We don't need to do lots of strenuous exercise to lose weight. And in fact, the problem with doing lots of strenuous exercise is it tends to make us more hungry, because we end up burning the candle at both ends. But if you're, you know, getting a decent amount of steps in every day, and you know what you're doing, you can set yourself targets to beat and things like that, which can help with motivation. Obviously, knowing things like body measurements, because if you know what your waist measurement is, then you know, if even if the scales aren't moving, if your waist measurement is going down, then you know that what you're doing is working. Because it's not about one piece of data, it's about the overall. And one of the things that I do with my clients is we track very carefully the energy going in, and the and what's happening with their weight, so that we can see very quickly if what they're doing is working, and whether anything needs to be adjusted or not. It's a very, very powerful exercise, and it can obviously be quite difficult to kind of stay cool sometimes when we see, you know, some of the fluctuations. But part of my role is to support my clients and hold them through that process, so they come out the other side and actually see the benefits of it. Another thing that is so important to do is simply take things one day at a time. Don't look at the time scale. Don't think I've got to lose 3 stone in the next 3-4 months, because it doesn't work like that. It really doesn't. And going back to what I was saying earlier, as soon as we try and put that kind of pressure on ourselves, we fight back. Our bodies and brains fight back, and then we only last so long before we give up. So by taking the pressure off, by taking away the time scale, and just think about, if you just eat slightly less than what you need to maintain your weight, you will lose weight over time, especially if you are keeping moving and not moving too much so you don't get too hungry, and eating in a way that supports your health. you will get results over time. So rather than focus on the end goal and think, right, okay, you know, I want to lose this amount of weight in this amount of time. If we just think, what are you doing today? What are you doing today that's in support of your overall goal? You don't need to keep looking at it. Just like we don't need to keep looking at the mountaintop if we're climbing a mountain, we need to be looking at where we're treading. If we just look at the mountaintop, we're going to fall over, aren't we? We're going to trip up, or we're going to take a wrong turn. Whereas if we are looking at our next steps that we're taking, and we've got an idea of the general direction of travel, and we just keep putting one foot in front of the other, we will get there. But we've got to make sure that the steps we're taking are manageable steps and not too big, too steep, and something that you can actually sustain and in a way that you enjoy. You've got to be able to enjoy the journey. If you don't enjoy the journey, you won't stick at it, and it won't last, and you won't get to where you want to be. So have a think about that. Another thing that is so important is that our bodies do not want us to be in a calorie deficit continuously. So if you have decided that you want to be on a diet for 6 months, you've got to lose weight continuously every week, you might do it. You might be hard, you might do it, but believe me, your body is going to fight back when you get to your goal. Whereas if you can build in what I call strategic maintenance breaks along the way, it gives your body the chance to consolidate what you've achieved. It gives your brain a chance to accept that, you know, you can eat a little bit more, and that means you're not less likely to rebound and end up overeating again. If you eat for maintenance for a little while, and when you're ready to go again psychologically and physically, and it helps to safeguard your metabolism, then, which means that you're not going to be in a position where you need a lot less energy, because if we need a lot less energy, which we do if our metabolism slows down, then it becomes a lot harder to maintain what we've lost. Whereas if we take our weight loss in small, manageable chunks with periods of maintenance built in, we safeguard our metabolism much more effectively, which means that we're less likely to gain the weight. And of course, in those periods of maintenance, you can increase your activity levels, because if you get more hungry, it doesn't matter so much because you can eat that little bit more. You're not burning the candle at both ends. And then finally, my tip number 6 is really make sure that every day you are doing something that's working on your mindset, because it's your mindset and being in the right frame of mind to make it work that is the glue that holds everything together. And if you are not thinking about why this is important to you, it's got to be more important to you than any temptation that you would face, then you are not going to last very long. So think about your goals. So yes, think about what it looks like at that mountaintop and how you're going to feel, as long as you're making sure that you're also looking at how do you want to feel when you go to bed tonight, knowing that you've done things that were in line with your long-term goal. And how do you want to feel when you wake up in the morning, knowing that you had a good day yesterday and you want to repeat that again. That is going to spur you on. Whereas if you keep looking at the goal and you know that you're not there yet, you're going to get frustrated and you're going to get fed up. But if you focus on the day in hand, literally taking it one day at a time and focusing on why this is important to you, what difference it makes and how good it feels to be eating in a way that supports your health, and that doesn't necessarily need to mean cutting everything out that you love. Remember the 80-20% rule. And if you can follow all those things, you will get there. You will be able to be more consistent with your efforts, because we need to get away from this all or nothing approach. It's the all or nothing approach that stops us from being consistent. So I hope that helps. Let me know how you get on. Now, if you need more help with this, I know that a lot of you would love to be able to work with me one-to-one, but are worried about, obviously, the affordability, because working in the way that I do, it's very intense. So I can only work with a few people at any period of time. But what I am offering at the moment through July is one-off 90-minute sessions with me, which are obviously a lot more affordable than working with me long-term. And in that, we go through and we really drill down into what are the issues that you're facing, what are the barriers that get in the way of you trying to lose weight, and what do we need to do to overcome those barriers, work on your mindset and bring in some practical tips. And then I'm also including within that price for that one-off session is a month of accountability support with me to help you to implement what you learn and get off on the right footing. And they are there for you. I'm calling them the summer holiday sessions, because summer holidays are a really difficult time for many people managing their weight, because there's the barbecues, there's the holidays, and there's, you know, trying to manage, you know, take the kids out for things to do in the summer holidays, and it can be really, really tricky to manage your weight. So these sessions can be really helpful in terms of helping you to understand what you need to do to either stay on track with your weight loss, or to simply not gain any weight during the summer, because a lot of people do gain weight during the summer because it's just hard. It's really hard to kind of stay consistent with what we're doing with all of the temptations around us. So that's one of the reasons why I offer these sessions. But it's also there just for general support as well. So if you want to just have a little bit of a kickstart, you can't afford, or your budget doesn't support you working one-to-one, but you know that perhaps you're spending more on food and drink than is healthy for you, could you perhaps divert that money into a session with me where we can really drill down and work together in a confidential way that enables you to get some really personalised support just to get you going. So if you want one of those sessions, just visit my website, www.youronelife.co.uk, and book your session, and then we'll get cracking. So I'm going to leave it there. I hope that's helpful. Let me know if you try any of the things that I've suggested. I would love to know how you get on, and feel free to drop me a message if you'd rather not post anything publicly in the group or on my YouTube channel. Just drop me a message and let's chat, and we'll go from there. So thank you for joining me. Next episode is going to be next Monday, the 8th of July, which will be episode 56. Topic has yet to be confirmed, so if you have any suggestions of what you would like me to cover, please do let me know, and I will see you next week. Make sure that if you're if you watch this on YouTube, that you do subscribe to my channel so you get notified for when I go live next. And yeah, let's get the chat going around this and see how we can support each other. Take care.